Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to my Berry Thoughtful World. So, if you're new to me, my name is Kenesha Berry. I am a relationship mindset life coach. Listen, you will never, ever, ever have a relationship that is good, loving, and healthy with another person until you're having a relationship that is good, loving, and healthy with you. And that all starts with the way you are thinking. So this morning I was talking to my husband and we were talking about what is happening where so many people are getting divorced. Like there are spiritual leaders that I adore. Recently I found out, a couple of people, Dr. Michael Beckwith, I believe, recently got divorced, who I just enjoyed some of his teaching. I'll be honest, not all of his teaching. Um, Willie Moore Jr., I don't know if you guys know of him. He and his wife are getting a divorce, and a couple of years back they wrote a book on marriage. And obviously, we all know about the Brady. I want to say Wayne Brady. I don't think that's his name. The football player. I'm not a big football person, but my husband and I was talking about that this morning. What is causing these people that we see living so grand, so big to get these divorces? What is it with marriage? Why is marriage so hard? I know there's another couple. Again, I'm so bad with names, but they have a book out called Marriage Be Hard. Haven't read it yet, but I like that title because marriage, it can be difficult. It can be hard. It can be challenging. But I believe, and I know that like I'm a small peon on the universe, in this universe. Not that my opinion doesn't matter, but my son had this thing where he did math and he talked about how many people are on the earth and then divided that by what did he divide? The amount of people and something. And he was like 0.0001, right? Is how important you are. he's he's weird like that. But here's the thing. I just want to share my thoughts on marriage and dreams because it's interesting to me that several of the people that have been getting divorced, they are living seemingly their life's dream, to play football at that level. To I know with Willie Moore Jr., he talks about having a desire to, be on stage for God and those kind of things. And here he is doing it, but yet his marriage is falling apart or has fallen apart. Um, Dr. Michael Beckwith is doing all this great work for everyone else, but yet his marriage is falling apart. So you have to ask, what is it? What is it about the dream in this marriage? And I get it. I don't know any of these people personally, and I am making some huge assumptions. But what I do know is that biblically, we must keep our marriage first. Our spouse is our first priority, which is why I was a little late this morning because I said to my husband, I said, if the children call me, if my kids call me right now, know that I will end this call. But if my husband was to call me right now, I would probably go, Trey knows I'm on live. Why is he calling me? But I am committed to now making sure he is as much of a priority. And I've always thought of myself as keeping my husband before my children. And I know for some moms you would struggle with that. But again, biblically, the spouse is priority. You would cleave to your husband or your spouse and leave your parents. And I think a lot of times what happens is we put other things in that place where our spouse is supposed to be. And I think for men, whether they do it intentionally or unintentionally, they're a great kind of excuse. And I use that loosely because maybe for many of them, they're not even thinking of it as an excuse. If it's very real, it's very true, but their reasoning for not being there, not being able to stop and do everything that the wife thinks they should do or be for the kids is, I'm out here making this money. Like we think everything is about, well, it's not like I'm out here running the streets or I'm doing the bad thing. I'm building this financial situation for us. But what happens if you build it and then there's no us? What's that about? So I'll just encourage you, if you are the person who possibly watched this later in the replay and you're married and you want to be like happily married. I was not interested in a marriage where I can say to people, oh, I've been married for 30 years, but I didn't like my husband, or that we just married and he lives in one part of the house, I live in the other part of the house, and we just happen to bump into each other every now and then. Like I was interested in having a happy, fun, exciting like this is my homie kind of marriage. And that's what Andre and I we have and we work on. And it takes work. Like we have to be intentional about how we view each other, how we decide to grow together, how we forgive each other, how we love each other, and all of that in order to be able to laugh every night before we go to bed. But I just encourage you that if you are that person where you realize that there is a distance in the marriage, maybe there's a place in you that you haven't forgiven your spouse for something they did a long time ago. Perhaps you are just moving in life as roommates, or you're so busy about your business or your dream or your goals that your spouse is sitting over here somewhere and you're thinking, it's fine, but we're just barely getting along. If you're that person, listen, do all you can to get help. And then the other thing I would encourage you to do is work on redefining the purpose of your marriage. If being happy is the purpose of your marriage, you're going to be disappointed real fast. I always tell my clients, and I used to work with couples. I used to do couples coaching. I don't do couples coaching anymore. Because I believe that, at least it's been my experience, that the clients that I was seeing, they needed individual coaching first, and then possibly couples coaching. And many people don't want to do that. They want to rush right to well, if you can get him fixed or you can get her fixed, then this relationship will work. No, no. If I can get you to know you in such a way that the things you think need to be fixed in your spouse is triggering you, what is the trigger there to teach you? Because I believe marriage is for healing. You may think healing what, Kenesha? All your childhood wounds, because whether you know it or not, you have a lot of them. And I believe in the establishment of marriage, till death do us part, um, where two people come together and they are committed to each other, and we're trying our best to figure it out. If we move from a place of happiness and move into a place of healing, meaning I want to be a better person. I want to not get so upset, aggravated, irritated by every little thing my spouse does. If you really want that and you recognize that Otis is on you needing to do something, the irritation, the things your spouse do, like leave, like my husband, I love him to death, but every time he goes into a kitchen, I'm gonna know which drawer he opened, which cabinet he opens, because he can't seem to close it. And that's okay. That used to bother me. But now it doesn't bother me. You know why? Because I got to the healing part where I recognize that's such a tiny thing. Leaving clothes piled up beside the bed is such a tiny thing. But the healing is getting to the place in you, discovering, why does that bother you so much? If you get to the why it bothers you so much, that's the healing. And then work on that part in you, then your spouse is free to be who they are in your presence. And then maybe together y'all can sort out a system for getting those cabinets closed or getting those clothes off the floor. Just a system is all you need. But the real work, the reason it's happening, I believe, is because God is calling you to a higher place in the marriage of healing and not happiness. But here's the beauty of it. If you're willing to do the work and you learn to heal from your emotional wounds, the false beliefs that make you think you're less than you really are, the false beliefs that has convinced you that you're not lovable and you're trying so hard to get this love that you can't even define for yourself out of your spouse. And so because you can't define it and you don't really know how the language for it, he is just irritating you or she's just irritating you because y'all can't quite seem to figure it out. When you learn how to get that language, you'll be able to start figuring it out. And maybe then you can get on one accord. But I don't care what language you get, what work you do. If your dreams and your goals or your children or your work or anything you have is more important than your spouse in any way. And you may be trying to convince yourself, well, you don't understand. I got to be out here in these streets to 60 hours, 80 hours a week because we got to make this money. But then you need to make an agreement with your spouse that I'm going to do this for this length of time, and we both agree to it. And then I'm going to switch, because I'm telling you, it will destroy your marriage. So you have all the money you want and all the things, but you won't have the marriage. And I've heard too many people say how devastating divorce can be. So I just encourage you, do the work, do the work, do your own emotional work. That is what I help my clients do. We get down. I begin to help them go in deep and begin to name the stuff that's really dealing with them. Notice I didn't say that they're really dealing with. I help them name the stuff that's dealing with them so that they can then deal with it. And so now they can change and reshape the direction of their life, their money, their health, their wealth, their relationships, because they now have new language that they communicate with themselves first, so they can then communicate with their spouses or their friends or whoever. Understand, when you begin to work at that level, everybody ain't going to be around you because everybody don't want to do this work, and that's okay. But it works in marriage. Get to doing the work of healing so that you don't have to be busy about avoiding the stuff that's bothering you. Listen, I pray you have a blessed day. I pray that you would get my book. Okay, where is it? Y'all gonna see this book every time I do a video, because I need these books selling off the shelf. I'm going today to ship out some. So listen, if you want to be a part of that shipment, go ahead and order your book right now. If you are on YouTube, Facebook, the link is in around the video. If you're on YouTube, on Instagram, go to verythoughtfullife.com/books. Order the book for a beautiful little girl in your world. All right. Have a blessed day. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.